We welcome you to the NCAA Women's Championship presented by Capital One. The Final Four is here, and these are our semifinalists. It begins tonight with NC State and undefeated South Carolina, then Iowa and UConn, and the winners play in the national championship Sunday afternoon on ABC. As we welcome you courtside, hey everybody, Ryan Rucco alongside the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo. So happy to be with you this Friday night on ESPN. After all the hype, after all the attention and energy, it is time for action. You ready?
Let's go.
You know, there are a lot of storylines going into these games for NC State, an unorthodox road to get here. Just the 7th unranked team in preseason AP poll history to then end up in the Final Four. They have 4 wins against top 5 teams this year, tied for the most in ACC history. Just the 2nd Final Four appearance, and this team going for its very first national championship.
And it's going to be on the shoulders of their backcourt. Isaiah James has been an elite scorer during the NCAA tournament. She's averaging 24 points, shooting 57% from deep in those 4 games. And her backcourt mate, Sanaya Rivers, is elite off the bounce. She can get herself looks. She can get touches in the paint to get her teammates looks as well.
Meanwhile, for South Carolina, in a familiar place last year, their only loss came in the semifinals against Iowa. They then watched 5 players, including our colleague Aaliyah Boston, get drafted into the WNBA. But what do? Well, they're just back here again, undefeated, 36-0, trying to become the first undefeated champion since UConn in 2016. And Rebecca, there's a lot of reasons why they're hard to beat.
This team simply has no weaknesses. They get it done in the paint, just like they have over the course of the last few years. What's different this year? They can complement it with elite perimeter play, elite perimeter shooting, and they do it with so much depth. They're averaging 39 points a game from their bench in the NCAA tournament.
For a little more on South Carolina, send things over to another Hall of Famer, Holly Rowe.
Well, the player with the biggest opportunity to make an impact tonight is 6'7" South Carolina's Camila Cardoso, and she has had to come the farthest of any player to be standing where she is tonight. She has sacrificed all along the way. Born in Montes Claros, Brazil, she is almost 4,000 miles from home. Born to Janete and her older sister Jessica, who started playing basketball. Camila saw her sister do it and thought, well, that looks pretty cool. Maybe I'll give it a try. At 15 years old, she decided to pursue her dream. She had to move to the United States. So without speaking a word of English, without knowing much about the culture, she flew all the way to Hamilton Heights, Tennessee. Well, Camila has sacrificed so much to be here today. No one has come farther.
All right, Holly. Well, it is time now for Capital One. Meet the players. Raven Johnson of South Carolina going to introduce us to herself and her teammates.
I'm Raven Johnson, and these are my girls, the South Carolina Gamecocks. Chloe Look Good Kits. She get her lashes done every day. Te-Hina Sniper Pow Pow. She got ice in her veins. Breezy Big Shot Hall. She loves Chipotle. She eat it every day. Killa Miller Cardosa. She likes to look good on and off the court. Check out her red hair. The Dawn Staley. It's in her name.
Well, Dawn Staley, the Naismith Coach of the Year for a 3rd straight year, a 2-time national champion, as South Carolina's head coach in Wes Moore after 35 years of coaching in his first Final Four as a head coach. Time to meet his players.
What's up, y'all? It's Sanaya Rivers, aka Naya, and this is my squad with NC State Women's Basketball. River Baldwin, our center, also our team mom, and she just loves the NC State community very much. This is Mimi Collins, our forward, and she's also the person that's going to hold us accountable for everything on and off the court. Yeah. Madison Hayes, guard, and she's the glue of our team. She literally does everything. And lastly, we have Isaiah James, aka Zaza, guard, and she's our hype man. She's gonna get us lit every time on and off the court. And this is Coach Moore. He's passionate, and he wants this more than any other coach in the country.
Well, we are about ready to go. NC State undefeated South Carolina. A trip to the national championship game is on the line. We tip next on ESPN. Ready to go in Cleveland, Ohio. First game of our semifinal doubleheader tonight. NC State against South Carolina. 33rd meeting all time between these schools. NC State a 20-12 advantage all time. And how about Sanaya Rivers jumping against Camila Cardoso?
Her fingertips were right there too.
That's the point guard for NC State. A junior who will certainly be a high pick when she does head to the WNBA in a year or two. Here's Kitts dumping it inside, and right away NC State comes up with a steal. Here's Rivers blasting into the paint, couldn't finish it, and Cardoso collects for South Carolina.
Both of these teams will like to push the pace, and we see NC State starting out in a man-to-man defense. South Carolina will look to go into Cardoso as much as possible.
Powell floats it in, a good sign for South Carolina, as Dawn Staley felt like Powell had been thinking a little bit too much lately, also been a bit fatigued.
Especially if you've had some struggles with your three-point shot.
Well, she comes up with a steal here as well.
It's good to get a look at the rim.
Powell to the corner. Johnson connects. What a beginning for South Carolina. Here's James working behind Baldwin's screen. James slinks into the paint, couldn't hook it in over Cardoso. Now Baldwin able to flip it in around Bree Hall. Nice finish there from River Baldwin.
Yeah, River Baldwin lost her balance, and it's tough to finish when you don't have your feet under you, but a good offensive board there for Baldwin.
Baldwin telling us the other day she has never played with so many unselfish teammates. This is a very connected NC State group as Powell misses a little long and Rivers comes down with a rebound.
A key for any team playing against South Carolina is getting on the defensive glass. South Carolina is an elite offensive rebounding team.
Fifth in the nation in offensive rebounding percentage, third in rebounding margin.
See South Carolina blitz the on-ball screen.
Mimi Collins from the mid-range.
NC State would like to pull Camila Cardoso away from the basket where she can't be a shot blocker and is a little less adept in terms of defense.
Here is Hall working behind Cardoso. Johnson directing traffic. 8 to shoot. Finds Kitts. Kitts cutting through, misses the layup. Cardoso then, and it's going to be a tie-up. And the possession arrow belongs with NC State. You've seen now on subsequent possessions some physicality, some contact underneath on both sides and play on.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rivers nearly throws it away.
You see her on the ball screen. She's getting blitzed, double teamed.
And Johnson comes up with a steal. Raven Johnson dips in, can't finish, knocked out of bounds by Kitts. And it will be NC State basketball.
And because South Carolina is blitzing the on-ball screen, if the NC State players slip that screen, they will be open. We saw it a little bit earlier, but James did not see her teammate or could not deliver to her.
Here's Rivers, who transferred from South Carolina after winning a national championship as a freshman with the Gamecocks. Rivers has it knocked away. Last hit her. It is going to be, we're going to discuss. Looked like it last hit Rivers' hand, and it did. Eric Bruton was all over it. And another turnover from NC State.
Good defense by Raven Johnson. Just active hands there to tip the basketball.
Now, one of the things that Westmore told us is he knew it was going to be a different challenge for his guards tonight against these South Carolina guards.
South Carolina guards are athletic and they have size and length.
Here's Powell. And that's going to be an offensive foul as James takes the contact.
Really great job by James, and it's a way to get involved on the defensive end. Slides her feet, moves them, yes. Pow Pow lowers that shoulder, extends the elbow a bit. That's the right call.
An early personal on Te-Hina Pow Pow.
See South Carolina extending their pressure. They did that in their Elite Eight game against Oregon State as well.
It was something that NC State had wondered, would Texas do against them in the Elite Eight? They did not. Here is James. She got it. Piping hot in this tournament. Isaiah James enters this game 57% from three.
She drew two, but then the defense backed up and she was able to get her shot off.
Cardoso, wow. Through two defenders, able to bank it home.
She's got really good pace, making her moves on the post.
Here's Baldwin, Cardoso on her back. River Baldwin gets blocked by Cardoso. Here comes Johnson. Johnson, the handoff, Hall, and that's going to be a block this time on James, and it will be her first.
Isaiah James has simply been incredible with her efficiency here. Draws two, but then, oh, what a dribble back to the right side. Hall a little bit late getting there. The patience. There's a pesky little guard swiping at the big's arms, and she remains unbothered and finishes.
Cardoso will be a lottery pick, and probably a really early one in the WNBA draft on April 15th here on ESPN, as Hall misses long, and the rebound flag down by Hayes, nearly threw it away. Here's James being ridden by Pow Pow. Step back three again. Isaiah James is feeling it.
This young woman is special. She is special. She can create space and has that beautiful lefty follow through.
A 10-7 NC State lead after they fell behind 5-0. Midway through the first, Ashlyn Watkins in off the bench, turns it over. Fourth turnover for South Carolina. Hayes lines it up. Can't hit. And Watkins hauls in the rebound. Watkins had 14 rebounds, 4 blocks in less than 30 minutes in South Carolina's Elite Eight win. Cardoso, nice footwork in the finish.
It's always good for South Carolina when Camila Cardoso looks confident, demands the basketball, and when she gets it, tries to score.
Wow, Rivers the breakdown and the lay. That was a point of emphasis in regard to Cardoso to begin this season from Dawn Staley. Just for having a dominant mindset every night, as Watkins might have gotten partially blocked. Gets it back, and another chance here for the Gamecocks.
Well, did you see when Cardoso got it on the left block? Drew three, perfect out pass to the opposite wing.
Hall will fire. Halfway down, and it pops out. Here comes James. James again. Not that time. And Watkins the rebound. Have not had a free throw yet in this game. Back and forth action. Here's Watkins driving it in. Can't bank it home. Rebound Collins. James zipping ahead, tossing it out. Rivers just able to keep it in bounds.
River Baldwin saying, settle in. These players are tired. There's been a lot of up and down without a whistle.
Here comes the hedge. Rivers backs it up. Collins. Hayes puts it on the deck, and at last hits NC State. South Carolina basketball. 3:11 to go in this first. A 3-point Wolfpack lead.
We knew coming in that NC State's backcourt would have to be elite. How have they been so far? Isaiah James has been incredible. Stepping into the three, Sanaya Rivers, an elite athlete in her own right. Dawn Staley knows it too.
Let's check out our most reliable team, brought to you by Xfinity. South Carolina, undefeated, 36-0, and wow, have they been dominant of late in their 4th straight Final Four. Champions back in 2022. They are 72-1 over the last 2 seasons, lost in the semifinals to Iowa last year. and their scoring margin this season is just ridiculous. They're outscoring teams by 29.5 points per game. The interesting thing is, talking to Dawn Staley and talking to her team, they all universally have said, and in a convincing way, that they are not carrying the weight of being undefeated this year. It's a new group, whereas last year, I thought you could feel it a little bit with their team, who had accomplished so much, was in their last dance, the class they called the Freshies, Aaliyah Boston at the heart of it, who you'll hear at halftime. This year, Rebecca, it doesn't seem like they're carrying any of that perfection weight.
There's a freedom of being young and not feeling the weight of the world of it being your last season.
Here's Fagan lining it up, short. Watkins so dangerous on the offensive glass.
Ashlyn Watkins is worth the price of admission just to watch her rebound. She is elite jumper, second jump, whether it's on the offensive or defensive end.
She already has 4 rebounds off the bench. Zoe Brooks, the freshman guardian, off the bench for NC State. Isaiah James, remember, playing with 1 foul as Fulwiley comes up with a steal. James has to be careful. Fulwiley misses the layup, and NC State comes away with it. Here's Rivers being hawked by Fulwiley, and Rivers gets denied. Watkins there, and Fagan as well.
One of the things with Brooks being in the game for NC State, she allows Sanaya Rivers now to play off the ball. South Carolina, the best shot blocking team in the nation, and there it's Fagan who gets it done.
Brooks has to get it in. Finally does to Collins, and Fulwiley just yanks it away. Possession arrow belongs with South Carolina, and that is already 6 turnovers for NC State. See Fulwiley just yanking it away on the steals. We send things over to Holly Rowe.
Well, Dawn Staley has said this is her strongest defensive team she's ever had. She said they might not know the scouting report exactly, but they play with more energy, pace, excitement, and run and scramble better than any other group she's had. They're the #1 scoring defense in the nation.
Fagan twisting and finishing. Well, and Holly, Wes Moore told us he thinks this is South Carolina's best team. Not just because of the way they're able to scramble defensively, but because of the way they shoot now to go with that, and then their presence on the interior. Here's Brooks. Brooks setting herself up. Can't hit the 3. Rebound hits the floor. Brooks gets it back and flips it in. A confident little bunny there from Zoe Brooks. Here's Fulwiley, an electric athlete. Able to save that. Gets it back in the corner. Let's see, 4 reserves in the game now for South Carolina. Nice catch, Wes. Hey, the Bird and Taurasi Show, presented by AT&T, is back for its 3rd year and is currently airing on ESPN2. The show is at 7 and 9:30 Eastern on ESPN2 for the semifinals, and then at 3 Eastern on ESPN for Sunday's championship. James goes back door, lays it in on a nice delivery from the freshman Brooks.
Just beautifully executed play. Mylasia Fulwiley was in full deny. James was able to go back door.
Here's Johnson. Watkins, center of the lane, leaves it short. Hayes able to secure the rebound for NC State.
And Mimi Collins has done a really nice job boxing out defensively.
Here's Rivers, mid-range jumper, won't go. Watkins, another board, her 5th.
I think Sanaya Rivers is really amped up to play against her former team.
Fulwiley connects on a 3. Mylasia Fulwiley, such a game changer off the bench for South Carolina. A player that Dawn Staley has called a generational talent. Here's Brooks with the shot clock turned off. Rivers, no. And that is how the first quarter will end. Tied at 16. We will chat with Wes Moore, NC State head coach, when we come back.
When you know the defense is going to overplay, you make them bite. Look at this, delivered, beautifully delivered backdoor pass.
Moments ago, Holly Rowe caught up with NC State head coach Wes Moore.
Coach, how do you feel your team quickly acclimated to the pace of this game and this big, bright stage?
Yeah, I mean, I think we like the pace. That doesn't bother us. We were used to getting up and down. We just got to take care of the ball. They're pressuring, they're reaching, so we got to be able to handle the ball better, be a little stronger with it. But we're fine, and got to loosen them up with a backdoor cut every now and then.
Isaiah James has picked up where she left off, really hot so far from three. What do you see in her so far?
I'm glad to see a couple go down early, and hopefully she's really confident.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Holly. Look good in red.
Here are the backdoor looks that Coach Moore was talking about. That's how you loosen up the overplay. It's about the cut. It's about the pass. Just a beautiful delivery on this one.
Well, it's time now for Get More, brought to you by Geico. Yeah, Isaiah James, she's been getting more as the season has gone along. Regular play before conference play was playing well. Conference play stepped it up, and then in the tournament, she has just been fantastic. Over 24 points per game. And one of the things that Wes Moore talked about with Isaiah James is she used to be a player who would really hang her head when something would go wrong. She'd miss a shot, she'd get beat defensively, and she has just developed a confidence now that even when things go wrong, she knows they're going to go right soon, and it has shown.
And we saw how she's improved over the course of this season. How about a year ago, she only averaged 6.8 points per game.
Here's Hayes, start of the second quarter. Winner of this game plays the winner of Iowa and UConn. They play following this here on ESPN as James can't finish. Cardoso the rebound for Wiley.
This is a small lineup for NC State.
Cardoso trying to go to work. Cardoso able to finish, finding the angle. Camila Cardoso now with 6 points.
Yeah, with this small lineup for NC State, Cardoso or Watkins should have an advantage inside.
Fulwiley right in there. Brooks able to save the possession. James gets a clean look, can't hit. Offensive rebound, Hayes, and another chance here for the Wolfpack. Here is Rivers, struggled in that opening quarter. To the corner, Hayes airmails along two. And here comes Pau Pau. The Oregon transfer who has said to fit at South Carolina has been a match made in heaven as the Gamecocks turn it over. They're sixth. Fulwiley really up pressuring Zoe Brooks. Her jumper is good.
Fulwiley up there on the pressure, but Brooks able to get a little bit of space off the screen.
Tied at 18, early second quarter of this semifinal in Cleveland. Pau Pau a deep three. Short. Watkins trying to save it. Does through the legs. And now NC State has numbers. And they take advantage. Rivers hands it off. Watkins back into the play. And James loses it. Here's Fulwiley off the steal. And she gives it back. Now Brooks trying to find space. To the corner. James sidestepping three. Won't go. And Watkins another rebound.
And Watkins looks at Tessa Johnson and says, slow it down. She's the big. They run baseline to baseline. She needs a second.
She already has 8 rebounds as Cardoso gets fouled. And Camila Cardoso will shoot 2. Hey, the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship Final Four begins Saturday at 6 Eastern, 3 Pacific on TBS. For more information, go to ncaa.com. A lot of synergies and connectivity between the programs with NC State's men and women both in the Final Four, UConn's men and women both in the Final Four. The NC State men actually FaceTimed the women's team while they were on the bus, leaving the arena following their win as they were on the podium. First free throws of the game for either team, and Cardoso hits both. Rivers bounces away. Wanted something different from Baldwin, didn't get it. Shot clock all the way down to 5 here. Baldwin with it at 3. Baldwin gets sandwiched, able to grab it back, can't flip it in, and kicks the rebound.
Yeah, that just was not a smooth offensive possession for NC State.
Cardoso, great position and the finish. Camila Cardoso with 10 points already and has not missed.
When she demands the basketball and wants the basketball, she is absolutely dominant because her teammates will find her.
Dawn Staley last year called her our separator. Rivers, no, line drive attempt. It's been a tough start for Sanaya Rivers thus far. Now 1 of 6 from the floor. Hall working behind Cardoso, feeds her again, and more easy cash for Camila Cardoso.
And how about that time? It wasn't just her going to the post and posting up. She was setting screen and re-screening and letting her guard toggle behind her and then deliver it to her.
Cardoso has the last 8 points for South Carolina. Collins looking for help. Baldwin trying to work Cardoso. Baldwin, a tough finish from the right block.
Like the persistence of River Baldwin because she's gotten blocked a couple of times inside, but she needs to continue to be attacking.
Nice delivery. Johnson finds Cardoso. Cardoso has the last 10 points for South Carolina.
This is the best first half I've seen Camila Cardoso play this season. She looks determined.
Brooks again able to flip it in. How about the poise the freshman has shown in the mid-range thus far? 6 points for Zoe Brooks, the number 9 overall recruit of this freshman class. Knocked away. Brooks trying to save it and is out of bounds. Goes tumbling and able to gather herself. South Carolina ball, 11 on the shot clock. Ashlyn Watkins going to spell Camila Cardoso. Watkins already with 8 rebounds in this first half. Here's Johnson zipping through the lane, and it's going to be a charge as Baldwin takes the charge. She's one of the best in the nation when it comes to charge taking. Took 5 in a single half earlier this season.
That's her 30th charge of the season. She takes so much pride in it, gets there, sells it really well. Yeah, against Florida State earlier this year, she had 5 charges in the first half, then got injured, or else she would have had more.
Rivers, nice look, and Baldwin the easy finish.
Good little screen to get Baldwin open on the interior.
And a nice job by NC State to stabilize things after South Carolina had consistently found good looks with Cardoso. Here's Hall as it hit by James. James fending off, and a foul against South Carolina. The Gamecocks a 2-point second quarter lead thanks to that young woman, Camila Cardoso.
Camila Cardoso has been unstoppable, has yet to miss this half. She runs the floor, posts up, demands the basketball. This young woman is 6'7". Good luck stopping her when she gets positioned like that. And here's another one, just perfection.
Well, Camila Cardoso with 14 points on 6 of 6 shooting and 2 of 2 from the line in this first half. And as WNBA GMs very excited, the 28th annual WNBA draft Monday, April 15th on ESPN. The Indiana Fever have the first pick, followed by the LA Sparks, and then the Chicago Sky, and then the Sparks pick again. Coverage begins with WNBA Countdown at 7 Eastern, and then at 7:30, it's the 2024 WNBA Draft live on ESPN and the ESPN app.
Open to the public this year. They sold, what, about 1,000 tickets, sold out in 15 minutes.
Yep.
People are excited about the W.
Here's the mock draft. You see Camila Cardoso, currently 4th on that mock draft. We will see 3 of the players tonight who are in that top 5. Here's Baldwin's jumper, no, and Cardoso back into the game for South Carolina after a real brief stint on the bench. Meanwhile, for NC State, Sanaya Rivers gets a breather.
Yeah, she needs to really have a chance to kind of settle in and regroup.
Cardoso, not that time, and a nice box out from Collins. Collins finds Brooks. Here comes the freshman point guard. Brooks shakes, takes, can't hit.
That was quite a screen by River Baldwin, though.
And now Raven Johnson off the long rebound. Cardoso open underneath. 16 points in this first half for Camila Cardoso.
She does a really good job of rim running and putting her head down and just sprinting as fast as she can. It's not as easy for a 6'7" big.
Cardoso has the last 12 points for South Carolina. Here's James. James finds Baldwin. The jumper is short. And Johnson on the weak side board. 28-24, South Carolina in front, under 3.5 to go in the first half. Watkins turns and pushes it off front rim.
Wes Moore telling his team as they run up the floor, let's go, let's go. He wants them pushing pace.
James looking to shake Johnson. James lost the handle, needs help, goes back door. Brooks denied by Watkins. Johnson, the freshman, directing traffic with Cardoso. Here's Johnson, she got it. We have seen Tessa Johnson with a lot of confidence throughout this tournament.
And she's found a nice rhythm, whether it's hitting a pull-up jumper or hitting a 3. She'll also take it into the paint.
Knocked away by Watkins. South Carolina, a 6-point lead. Collins being harassed, gets fouled, and that will be on Watkins, her first. And coming up in the Dove halftime report, Aaliyah Boston joining the desk. And our outstanding crew, Carolyn, Chanae, Drea, L. I'll break things down for you.
How about Mimi Collins, though? She felt that she was getting fouled, so she just hucked the ball up to the rim so she could get herself to the free throw line. That was just a really smart play.
And these are the first free throws of the game for NC State. Rebecca, let me ask you about the turnovers, because these two teams all season long really good protecting the basketball, both top 13 when it comes to not turning the ball over. But South Carolina with 10 of them in the first half. NC State with 7. You've been on this stage. You know what it's like. How much do nerves affect the first half of a Final Four?
Yeah, there certainly are nerves, and there's a lot of adrenaline, especially in that first quarter. And also, both of these teams have guards who can get up and pressure the ball handlers and make it challenging to take care of the basketball, especially we saw in the first quarter in particular. South Carolina, the way they were blitzing on-ball screens.
Cardoso, patient. Doesn't get a whistle, doesn't get the finish. Baldwin secures the rebound. And Cardoso limping a little bit after that. Here's Rivers down the other end. The game just out of control and unable to finish. Cardoso is still limping here. Pow's 3 is short, and
one of her teammates needs to
somebody needs to take a foul, so Camila Cardoso can have that ankle addressed. As Cardoso now is the one to apply the foul, her first. And you could see Winston Gandy, one of the assistants for South Carolina on the bench, trying to get the attention of his team to take a foul so they could address Cardoso's ankle. Let's take a look here, Rebecca. Oh, look, maybe the left ankle dragging on the foot of Baldwin. Or the right ankle, it's not as obvious, right?
And she also looked like she landed on her right knee. But yes, this is where a more experienced team, as soon as you see one of your teammates hobbling, you take the foul so she can get out of the game.
Well, all Gamecock fans holding their breath right now, and all fans of this sport in general, as Camila Cardoso walks back to the South Carolina locker room. It is impossible to overstate the importance of Camila Cardoso to the Gamecocks.
Not only to their team, but them tonight in this matchup. We've already seen how dominant she can be.
16 points, 7 rebounds for Cardoso, and a foul here. Who will it be on? It's going to be on Mimi Collins, and that will be her first.
Mimi was trying to get around and deny the pass. Looked like minimal contact.
NC State is in the bonus. They have just 2 team fouls charged to them in this second quarter. Cardoso had scored 12 of South Carolina's 14 points in the frame. Here's Fagan. Fagan turns, can't finish. Good box out there from Collins, who then nearly throws it away. Brooks able to pedal it away from traffic. Brooks finds Collins. Her 3 is good. Tied at 30.
You'll notice one of the things South Carolina has done really well on the defensive end is when NC State gets a rebound, they go up and they contest it to slow down the outlet pass, slow down the pace of NC State.
Raven Johnson, no rebound. Hall and Watkins all over it. Watkins' 9th board of this first half. Watkins trying to find an angle, squeezes it to Hall, off on a 3. Watkins slaps it out of bounds. No, it last hits NC State, and it will be South Carolina basketball. It is just such a monumental task trying to keep Ashlyn Watkins off the glass. About an 8-second difference game in shot clock. Here's Fagan. Fagan twists inside and finishes with the left hand. And Westmore reminding Sanaya Rivers we're going to hold for a final shot here. 5 seconds to go in the second quarter. Collins, nice move inside and a foul. On a beautiful delivery from Sanaya Rivers, Mimi Collins is going to the line.
NC State worked on this in their shoot-around this morning, and it was beautifully executed. Collins takes a couple steps up the lane line. Rivers knows she's going to go back door. It's a hard pass to deliver.
That is the first foul on Sanaya Fagan as Collins misses the free throw. Well, still to come tonight, Paige Buckets and UConn taking on Caitlin Clark in Iowa. That's up next on ESPN. Winner of this game will play the winner of that contest Sunday, 3 o'clock Eastern on ABC. Here's Johnson. Johnson hoists it down the floor, got it on the rim. And that will do it for the first half. Undefeated South Carolina with a 1-point lead on NC State, but certainly a lot of attention will be on Camila Cardoso and the status of her after going back to the locker room as Raven Johnson is with Holly.
Well, Raven, your defense has put the stamp on this first half. 7 first-half turnovers created. How has that been important?
I mean, coach is big on defense. We had a practice yesterday. She was big on defense. She said that they have 3 elite guards that can score at any level. So she said we need to put ball pressure on the guards.
Coming back in the second quarter, your team really fed Camila Cardoso. How did you get her so involved in that moment?
I mean, she's the key of our team. I mean, we got to play through her. I mean, when she's 6'7", nobody can guard her. We keep feeding her the ball. We're good. We got to keep giving her the ball.
She turned something. How do you react with her out of the game right now?
I mean, we're going to be good. I mean, she's a killer. She's going to be back in the game. She has a mindset of, you know, just go. She want to win, so she'll be good.
Thanks, Raven.
Thank you.
Well, Raven Johnson and Camila Cardoso have played together since they were kids. They certainly have dynamic chemistry. They took advantage of it in that first half. But what's the health status of Cardoso? One of the questions I'm sure our Duff halftime report will tackle. Elle and the crew, here we go.
Camila is posting up. She's running the floor. That's exactly what you need. I mean, Raven said it just now in her interview. She is 6'7". It is hard for people to guard her. They have to continue to get her the ball. And you see that right here. It's just strong post. River Baldwin is a great post player that defends. She uses multiple moves, tries to get around, dives to the basket, just being physical. And I think you've seen that with Camila over the past few games is that she just wants to dominate. She's running the floor. They're throwing it up, and they're going to need more of that the second half.
NC State has no answer for Camila, whether it's her passing out of the paint or scoring in the paint. South Carolina has 20 points in the paint. 16 of them are from Camila Cardoso. So her impact on the floor, her presence on the floor for South Carolina fans you certainly hope that she is okay moving forward. And pay attention, what was the game where Camilla was 10 of 12 from the field? Was that Oregon? Indiana. She was 10 of 12 from the field. We said that's not enough. She's 7 of 9 from the field. If she comes back and she feels good, she needs to be 16 of 20 from the field. They need to keep going to Camilla.
We heard Holly there talk about Raven Johnson and how South Carolina's forced 7 NC State turnovers, but NC State's forced 10 South Carolina turnovers themselves. What are you seeing right now, CP, from the Wolfpack?
Well, what NC State is doing is they're being very, very, very patient. They are 133 in the nation in assists per game. They don't share the basketball or rely on a penetrating kick. They can create their own shots. Only 3 assists in this first half, and they've been pretty balanced. When you have Isaiah James has 10 points, Baldwin has 6, BB Collins has 7. It's all off the bounce, pass, wait, and they're getting late in the shot clock. This is a low-scoring game for South Carolina. If they want to go play on Sunday, they got to pick up the tempo.
Y'all were kind of looking at me crazy when I said NC State was one of the most dangerous teams in the tournament. It's because they play free.
She didn't pick NC State.
She did not pick NC State.
But I'm just saying they're still dangerous, and that's
now
because
you're switching up on
I'm not switching it up. I'm just saying that they're playing free, and that really is shown through Isaiah James and how she's been able to freely unload buckets. What I love about her, she's one of the toughest buckets in the tournament. She takes the contact, able to step back. I've seen high hedges that she's operated around. I've seen back cuts. I've seen passes. I've seen her score. She has 10 points already. She already has 2 threes. She has averaged 24 points per game in the tournament. She is capable of turning up at the right time. Isaiah James, to me, is the most key player for NC State to really see if they're able to push this off in the third quarter.
Isaiah James and Zoe Brooks have been great. The player to watch in the second half is Sanaya Rivers. She's the second leading scorer. She averages 13 points a game. She's 1 of 7 from the field, just 2 points. If you're NC State, you're in a great spot. Your second leading scorer is struggling, but she's got to find a way to get going.
Here's the thing that South Carolina needs to do. They did the South Carolina-North Carolina game, and they came out of the locker room to start the game with full court pressure. They right now are allowing NC State to be way too comfortable, and they've got to try to do something to speed up the tempo of the game.
Aaliyah, you've been to 3 Final Fours with the team, and Dawn Staley was your head coach. What is she saying right now to this team in the locker room?
She's probably telling them to settle down. That's the first half. It's already out the way. But also you have to take care of the ball. When you're playing a game like this, it is a game of possessions. It's also a game of runs, but you want to make sure that you're actually getting shots at the basket because of how well they rebound the ball and how well they shoot the ball from the 3. So honestly, just settling down, taking care of the ball, and just going out there and playing their basketball.
Yeah. I mean, Coach Staley said it in one game. She's like, it's the standard. It's the South Carolina standard. She didn't tell us what the standard meant. She didn't tell us what was in it, but they have a standard. I do think pace and then playing a little bit faster will play into
And
this
they
game.
also have depth. They're built to withstand situations like this. Playing without Camilla Cardoso, potentially, that will hurt. But we've all said, Coach Dawn Staley called it out before the game started. Ashlyn Watkins needs to rise to the moment.
Yeah.
She's someone that can get offensive rebounds. She's someone that can shut you down defensively. And they also have Chloe Kitts, so they have the depth to withstand storms like this.
But we talk about what they lost last year. It was the experience. These players that are going through this right now haven't played on this stage. So did they get enough experience in that first half to settle in for the second?
We've also heard the team say multiple times that even when they've blown some of these big leads that we've seen over the last couple of weeks, they follow the mannerisms of Dawn, and if she's good, then they are good. Very quickly, you mentioned the pace. NC State entered the night with 63 fast break points. That was the most in the tournament. They've only got 3 in this first half. So if you're Wes Moore, what are you telling your team right now?
Hey, listen, control the clock. Because that's what they did to Stanford. That's what they did to Texas. When you run, you want to do it opportunistically. But you don't want this to be a fast game because that's what South Carolina loves.
They want to run. They want to push.
Yeah. Absolutely. You want to control the tempo.
I love when, they prove us right. We said pace was going to be a big thing in this, and it certainly is. So is the health of Camilla Cardoso, who was dominating before she got injured. 16 points, but she did go to the locker room with what looked like a hurt ankle or knee. Much more on that on the other side. Isaiah James leads NC State with 10 points, and, well, she gets better. 15 points in the second half at the tournament as her Wolfpack down 1 to South Carolina. Second half tips from Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse after this. This has been your Dove Halftime Report.
Getting ready to start the third quarter of this Final Four matchup. And South Carolina 32-31 lead on NC State. We take a look at our bracket. The winner of this game will play the winner of Iowa and UConn. Those teams coming up next on ESPN as we welcome you courtside once again. Ryan Ruocco alongside the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo. Have a tight game here. And the difference for South Carolina in that first half was the play of Kamilla Cardoso as we take a look at what's fueling the run, brought to you by Wendy's.
And for NC State, their guard play was really good. South Carolina blitzing the screen. What does Isaiah James do? Sheds the defender anyway, steps into range, hits a deep three for the lefty. And how pretty was this? Just make the defense overplay and bite, and then you go back door. Kamilla Cardoso, however, was outstanding when a 6'7" player runs the floor, does her work early so that when she catches the ball in the paint, all she has to do is turn and finish. Posting up strong, finishing inside. A scary moment late, though, when she goes down. Left the game in that second quarter after the fall. We see her walk to the locker room.
She is back out here for warm-ups as we take a look at our game track brought to you by Invesco QQQ. Isaiah James, 10 points, started swiftly. Kamilla Cardoso, unstoppable before she left this game in the second quarter. Was playing with a white leg sleeve, now has a black leg sleeve on that right leg, but was out going through warm-ups and is right now sitting on one of those chairs ready to begin the second half. Rebecca, if you're NC State, you're thinking, hey, Sanaya Rivers probably couldn't have struggled much more than she did, and you're only down one, probably some hope for the Wolfpack.
Yeah, without question. Sanaya Rivers, you would hope that she will settle in here in this third quarter. She turned the ball over early. She wasn't getting the looks that she would like on the offensive end.
In this second half, Ashlyn Watkins, rather than Chloe Kitts, gets the start out of halftime as Raven Johnson very calmly floats in the little teardrop.
And then does a really good job of denying Rivers an easy inbound.
South Carolina undefeated. They were at this point last year as well before falling in the semifinals to Iowa. James can't hit. Cardoso in there with the rebound. Gonna watch her closely and how she's moving up and down the floor. Pow rattles in a three. And a strong start to the third for South Carolina.
The South Carolina guards certainly looking confident here in the third quarter when it comes to their jumpers.
Here's Isaiah James, gets the whistle on Hall and will shoot two. That is the second personal on Bree Hall.
Te-Hina Pau this season shot the third best field goal percentage from behind three. A confident, experienced player, feeling good in that moment.
Over 46% as we send things over to Holly Rowe.
Well, Dawn Staley said she has never coached a guard like Te-Hina Pau. She said that she is such an important person because her basketball IQ is unmatched. She doesn't get sped up. She's a big shot maker, and she seeks out the big shots. You could see just how natural and comfortable that looked. Dawn Staley said she's one of a kind.
And Dawn Staley has coached a lot of really good guards, so for her to say that is quite the compliment to Te-Hina Pau.
Thrilled when Pau announced that she's returning next year to South Carolina, not entering the draft.
Dawn Staley saying, we needed her and she needed us. Here's Johnson. Getting it down for Cardoso. Double comes. Watkins cuts. Can't finish. Now she can. On the putback, and South Carolina has its largest lead of the night. It is 7.
The double came from the other big, so even though Watkins missed her first one, it was a guard trying to box her out.
Rivers misses badly again. 11th rebound for Watkins. Sanaya Rivers now 1 of 8 from the floor. Talked about this being a huge game for her, not only because it's the Final Four, but because it's against her former team. She talked to us about how all of her teammates knew how important this game was to her. She is the vocal leader of her team as Johnson rings in a 3, and the South Carolina lead is 10. Raven Johnson 2 for 3 from deep as James floats it home.
Oh, that was a beautiful job. She just split right through the blitz, right through the screen to get the good look inside.
Pow around the Watkins screen, feeds her on the roll. Easy money. Pow and Watkins. Malaysia Fulwiley getting ready to check in for South Carolina. Here's Rivers. Tossing to River. Baldwin. Hayes couldn't stuff it home. Baldwin gets blocked, but a foul against South Carolina. It'll be number 2 on Cardoso.
Well, the blitz came again here in the second half. What does James do? She just snakes the screen, gets inside. This is still a really tough finish that she makes look really easy. Ashlyn Watkins, screen, roll, deliver. That's just easy, pretty basketball.
Bree Hall checks out for South Carolina. Malaysia Fulwiley in. Dawn Staley has had the right touch all season long when it comes to when to deploy who from this incredibly deep South Carolina team.
So many options, whether it's in the post play or on the perimeter.
You see the bench points, they're +9 tonight. No player averages more than 28 minutes per game for the undefeated Gamecocks. Fulwiley short, Cardoso cleans it up. Cardoso now with 18 points and 9 boards. Here's Rivers turning the corner. Good look out to Hayes. Too long on a 3. And Watkins yet another rebound, her 12th. Johnson lobbing it up. Cardoso able to finish. Timeout NC State.
What a start to the third quarter for South Carolina. Everything going right. Raven Johnson finding her former AAU teammate, Camila Cardoso. Big and little, love it.
Well, Paige Becker's having an incredible tournament. One of the best players in the nation. UConn against Iowa is coming up next on ESPN. Time for today's Need to Know, brought to you by Dick's Sporting Goods. And Paige Becker's in the Elite 8, 28 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. She's a first-team All-American. Caitlin Clark in the Elite 8, 41 points, 12 assists, 7 rebounds, and she is the National Player of the Year. As we send things over to Holly Rowe.
Well, in that last timeout, NC State coach Wes Moore came in and just slammed his dry erase board down on the floor. Said, guys, you've just got to play harder. I'm sorry, but that's just what it is. They're running down the court. They're getting open layups. We have to play harder. He did draw up some things, but he's really just asking for more energy and effort. Bottom line.
Certainly felt that way, Holly, especially on the defensive end of the floor. They were getting beat down, not closing out on shooters quickly enough, and every time South Carolina made them pay.
Here is Isaiah James. Now that foul's on Cardoso, but for those thinking, oh, that's number 3. They just changed the second foul on Cardoso to a foul on Pow instead. So now there's 2 on Cardoso. Pow has 2 also.
And Cardoso was just saying to the official, you know, she threw her head back. That shouldn't have been a foul, and I agree with her.
Here's Brooks. Inbounding for NC State, in off the bench, lobbing it up. Watkins, too tall, knocks it out of bounds. Ashlyn, yeah,
sure to throw it over Ashlyn Watkins.
She is a sensational athlete. Tessa Johnson and Bree Hall were joking with us the other day. There are times we watch her and just say, I want to be like her.
I want to jump that high and be that fast.
Here's James. Slinking through traffic, Isaiah James, what a take, just couldn't quite finish it. South Carolina already 16 points in this third. They scored 16 apiece in the first and second. Fulwiley goes baseline and is fouled by Collins. And that will be the second on Mimi Collins.
Did you see Fulwiley, though, as soon as she recognized that a big had switched on to her, she put the afterburners on and just started sprinting that left baseline.
Calls her game smooth and flashy. We were introduced to it very quickly in Paris this year. South Carolina opened their season with a win against Notre Dame as Pow turns it over out of bounds.
Really nice job icing that ball screen by NC State and forcing the turnover on Pow, keeping her on the right side of the floor.
48-36, South Carolina in front. The turnovers have hindered South Carolina. They're shooting 51%. James throws it away out of bounds, and NC State gives it right back. 8th turnover for the Wolfpack.
You saw at the beginning of that possession, Sanaya Rivers just looks unsure, not only in her own offense, but what the team is running and where the next play is supposed to go.
Rivers just 1 of 8 from the floor thus far in this semifinal matchup.
NC State now switching to a 2-3 zone. This is something South Carolina anticipated and worked on a lot the last couple of days here in Cleveland.
Fulwiley's 3 off the mark. Rebound out of bounds to NC State.
But in South Carolina's Elite 8 matchup against Oregon State also went to a 2-3 zone, and it did give South Carolina some issues. They weren't able to shoot efficiently in that game, only 4 of 20 from 3.
Zoe Brooks gets it up the floor against the pressure of Fulwiley. Can Rivers come alive? Rivers loses it out of bounds. Going to stay here with NC State. 4:48 to go in the third quarter. One that's been dominated by undefeated South Carolina. They lead by 12. Trying to punch their ticket to the national championship game. Wes Moore looking for answers. We know this building is going to be on fire. For the 4th straight year, every NCAA Women's Championship game is on the networks of ESPN. For more information, go to ncaa.com. Your home for all 90 NCAA championships. National championship game Sunday, 3 Eastern on ABC. Sanaya Rivers to inbound for NC State.
Good job by Tessa Johnson that time, not allowing Isaiah James to go backdoor. That was the play.
Here's James. James goes baseline, lost it out of bounds, and NC State turns it over. The Wolfpack just not getting any space in this third against the Gamecock D.
All credit goes to South Carolina and their intensity on the defensive end here in the third quarter.
See NC State 1 of 6 from the floor in this third. 2 turnovers for the game. They have just 3 assists to their 9 turnovers. Johnson on a 3.
Another set that South Carolina worked on against the zone. The double drag screen and then getting the ball back to one of the screeners for the 3.
5th 3 of the night for South Carolina. Their largest lead. Rivers can't hit. Good contest from Cardoso. Fulwiley finds Johnson. Fulwiley thought about pulling the trigger. Johnson will. Short on that one and hits the backboard out of bounds.
You can run screening offenses against the zone, and there came off 2 screens, then hit it back to Tessa Johnson, wide open for the 3.
Isaiah James. It looked like South Carolina wasn't quite ready, but it ends up not mattering. An awkward attempt from Isaiah James, and her teammates really weren't even down the floor yet as Tessa Johnson can't finish, and it's out of bounds off of Brooks and stays with South Carolina.
These last 2 possessions were
like
a little clunky.
And slow motion.
Yes, yes. Your television is not blitzing.
Should we start talking like this? Wiley can't finish. Here comes James. Brooks was open in the corner. Rivers didn't see her. Baldwin has it knocked away, forcing the pass inside. Fulwiley blurring to the bucket.
Westmore might have to take another quick one. This is ballooned now to 17.
And NC State has looked completely disjointed in this third quarter. This was a one-point game at halftime.
They also haven't gotten stops where they can get out and run.
Here's Collins, a good look from three. Won't go. Cardoso the rebound. She has a double-double. It's 21-5 in this third in favor of South Carolina.
Yeah, smart. Raven Johnson pulls it out, gets them to run a set.
Fulwiley in the corner. No. Cardoso, yes.
And that's the hard part for NC State in the zone. They've got their smaller guards on the weak side with Cardoso. Good luck boxing her out.
22 points, 11 rebounds for Camila Cardoso. The lead is now 19 for South Carolina. Baldwin has it poked away, able to flag it down. Rivers, stolen by Fulwiley. Here's Malaysia Fulwiley. Good effort there by Zoe Brooks. And then Brooks is fouled by Raven Johnson.
Malaysia Fulwiley able to get her hands on the basketball. So electric when she can get down in transition. Finishes beautifully there. She cups it like a running back, right, Ryan? And then gets inside, absorbs some contact, and finishes. One more time from this angle.
She is a sensational athlete and can change a game on a dime off the bench for South Carolina. She goes back to the bench now as Collins does not get the bounce. Camila Cardoso will check out as well for the Gamecocks. Cardoso has tied her tournament high with 22 points already tonight.
NC State looks exhausted. Look at their guards at the top of the zone. Hands are down. Zones are not good when your hands are down. Everybody's hands are down. This is a tired team.
Johnson, cross court in the corner. Raven Johnson too strong. Zoe Brooks flags it down for NC State. And they put together a couple of quality possessions at the end of this quarter. Brooks doing a great job pedaling through traffic. And a foul called against South Carolina. Raven Johnson whistled for her second. And NC State now in the bonus, so Brooks will go to the line.
It's the NC State team last time defensively, and then this last possession offensively, they look kind of dazed, which I understand because they got the 1-2 punch from South Carolina here in the third quarter, but just kind of the way they've wandered on the floor a little bit, even on this offensive possession after the foul was called, didn't huddle up, just kind of walking around, and I understand. You're in this big moment, and you just got hit by an onslaught from South Carolina.
That was their first point in 6.5 minutes. Ended an 11-0 South Carolina run. This game was 32-31 South Carolina at the half.
See Isaiah James imploring her teammates. Her hands are up. She's clapping. She's saying, let's go. She needs a response defensively of energy from her team.
Here's Pow, a deep three is good.
What a quarter. What a quarter for South Carolina.
They have outscored NC State by 20 in the frame. Nice look there from James, and what a rejection from Swatkins. And the shot clock turned off, so now South Carolina can hold for a final look. Five seconds left in this third. Hall's three. You bet. Perfection in the third from South Carolina as they outscore NC State 29-6. Holly will chat with Dawn Staley in a moment.
I'd say it's raining threes, but we're in Cleveland. It's snowing threes for South Carolina. Te-Hina Pow steps up for a big one. And then how about Bree Hall? What you got cooking? Steps out, faces up, three more.
South Carolina, a monster third quarter. They outscore NC State 29-6 in the frame moments ago. Holly Rowe caught up with Dawn Staley.
Coach Staley, you have been encouraging, urging, pushing Kamilla Cardoso to be her dominant self for years. How is she doing that tonight for you?
I mean, you see it. She's a top pick in the WNBA draft, and she's been building towards this, playing on a big stage and performing like we needed to perform to get to Sunday.
You guys have a big league right now, but how do you not take the foot off the gas to finish this out and get a chance at the Natty?
Well, now it comes down to really coaching. We got to coach that part of it. We've given up big leads in the second half, so we have to control this coming down the stretch.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, Holly.
What an incredible third quarter it was for South Carolina. They scored 29 points. 7 different players scored in that third quarter. 15 of their points came from 3, came from the perimeter. The other 14 all in the paint. Forget the mid-range here in the third quarter for South Carolina. Outside, inside, and you can't be any more efficient and just dispersing and sharing the basketball than they were there.
When you take a look at that third quarter, they ended it on a 17-1 run. They held NC State to 1 of 11 from the floor. And after scoring 32 total points in the first half, they put up 29 in the third quarter as South Carolina goes zone here against NC State.
And what's intriguing about this is coming into this game, as Sanaya Rivers able to drain from deep against the zone, South Carolina had played 21 total possessions of zone this entire season. The last game where they played it a consistent amount was the end of January.
Dawn Staley told us, you know, we worked it at the end of practice, and it looked pretty good. I feel good about it.
NC State has to feel pretty good that in the first possession of it, they were able to get a 3 from deep.
Especially the way that Rivers has struggled in this game. 1 of 9 from the floor before that make from 3. Here's Fagan. Can't finish over Baldwin. Rebound hits the floor. Watkins comes up with it. Now it's Fagan. Loose ball. Baldwin trying to grab it. Fagan back after it. And the possession arrow belongs with South Carolina. Hey, here are today's Star Stories brought to you by Honda. Isaiah James started quickly, has cooled since, still 13 points. And Kamilla Cardoso, 22 points, 11 rebounds. She is 10 of 12 from the floor. Left the game in the second quarter with an apparent leg injury. Came out with a different sleeve on her leg in the third and was still her dominant self. Johnson? Sure.
So they can do the mid-range too.
But that third quarter was an analytics department's dream. Paint 2s and 3s and nothing else for South Carolina. Here's James serving up Baldwin. Can't hit. Rebound Watkins, her 18th of the night. A career high for Ashlyn Watkins, who came off the bench in this game.
The beauty, too, with South Carolina's depth on a weekend where you're hoping to play 2 games in 3 days is you don't have to exhaust any player.
Watkins able to save it.
Yeah, you just share the minutes.
Dawn Staley has also talked about the mental fortitude that it takes when you get this late and you play that third week of the tournament and not getting exhausted that way, which the program obviously has become very accustomed to as Pow Pow flips it in.
South Carolina now back in their man-to-man. So just so one sprinkle in. You sprinkle in the one possession of zone, Ryan, after the timeout.
Isaiah James saying, let's keep that going. 15 points now for James. Fagan gets fouled by Baldwin, and that will be the first personal on River Baldwin. A reminder, coming up next, it's Iowa and UConn here on ESPN. Winner of that game will play the winner of this game Sunday, 3 o'clock Eastern on ABC. Tessa Johnson checks out. Watkins, Fagan, Raven Johnson, Pow Pow, and Bree Hall, the 5 for the Gamecocks. Here's Hall, shoves over Baldwin, and there's another charge taken for River Baldwin.
I love big girls who are willing to step in. It's a lot farther for them to fall. Well done, River Baldwin, the second charge of the game.
Let's send things over now to Holly Rowe.
Well, River Baldwin was in college the first time she took her first charge against Clemson. She was at Florida State, and a coach who was on the staff as a GA, Ivy Slaughter, had been a terrific player at Florida State and been good at taking those charges. So she actually went to work with Ivy, learning how to take him. It's now part of her skill set. It's an art. I know Rebecca Lobo never took a charge in her life, and we're going to try to get you with Ivy Slaughter as well, Rebecca.
Yeah, you didn't have that assistant coach who said, here's how you take the charge.
Shot blockers don't take charges, I'm telling you.
Watkins, by the way, another rebound. Her 19th of the night. Watkins elevates and hits. What can't she do? Ashlyn Watkins, more tremendous production off the bench. Hayes' three is good, a much needed one for NC State with South Carolina running away. And Dawn Staley didn't like something about that possession, is very frustrated as she'll take a timeout.
When you got hops and you have the basketball in the middle of the paint, you can just elevate over your defender. Look at this, Watkins, hang it. Woof.
Well, Jason Sudeikis, like so many others, has been completely transfixed by the performance of Caitlin Clark. Her family is here. Her father, Brent, her mother Ann on the edges, her two brothers here as well.
Your dad got snacks in his pocket?
That's a pro move right there.
That is.
You'd like me a lot better if I did that. Oh, yeah, what do you got in there, Papa
Clark? It's like when I sneak snacks and candy into the movie theater.
M&M's in there? Wow, Watkins nearly flips it in, then gets blocked. That rarely happens to Ashlyn Watkins.
How about Dawn Staley? Up 22. She didn't like what she saw on the defensive end for her team, so she called a timeout. Andrea Carter, as we see River Baldwin score, Andrea Carter pointed that out. I think it was the first or second round game. Same thing. South Carolina had a huge lead at the end of the half, and Dawn was upset about something, and she was not wasting any time to get her players to huddle up and talk to them.
Well, when we talked to South Carolina the other day, their players, one of the first things they brought up was making sure, as that's going to be a charge. Guess who took it? Yep. River Baldwin, a third charge taken there. One of the things that they talked about is, hey, we need to keep our foot on the gas. They feel like they've been a little too casual with big leads. We saw it against Tennessee in the SEC tournament where they nearly blew a 23-point lead. And then against Indiana, we saw it where they had a 20-plus lead as well. And Indiana made it a one-possession game in the Sweet 16 as Rivers can't hit the three.
Playing with their food, as some would say.
Yeah, that's right. That's the phrase. Maddie Cox getting some minutes now for NC State as Johnson nails the three. Raven Johnson with her third three of the night. What growth for Raven Johnson in her shooting. We've seen her hit such big threes throughout this season, throughout this tournament. Last year was flagrantly sagged off of in the perimeter, and now an easy lay as well.
Beautiful score on the offensive end by the guards. But how about Sanaya Fagan jumping out on that on-ball screen and then getting the steal?
Isaiah James, nifty move and gets a whistle. Isaiah James still trying to get her team going.
Just turned. That was a beautiful pass by Ashlyn Watkins. And when you drive and turn baseline, you need to know that your teammate is going to be in the corner. And yeah, there it is. There's the big girl. Quick hands, quick feet. She's the reason they got the layup on the other end. Sanaya Fagan.
Raven Johnson checks out. You see that three-point shooting improvement for Johnson from last year to this season. From 24% to 35%. You know, it's part of the reason why Wes Moore said he feels this is Dawn Staley's best team, because of the way they shoot it from three, over 39% as a team, Holly Rowe.
Raven Johnson's certainly one of those that's improved, but even more so tonight, her defense has been so impactful. She has lost 30 pounds coming into this season. I've got a lot of respect for Raven. She has stayed in the gym 24/7. Her body fat is down 30 pounds in a career, and you see her flying up and down the floor, getting out on those three-point shots. She has been relentless. She did just come down awkwardly. You see her going to the back to the locker room right now. I saw her fussing with something on her leg. I'll get an update for that immediately.
All right, thank you very much, Holly.
Looked like she was fussing with her hamstring.
Yeah.
Right side. That is the medical term.
Well, I was going to say, you both are using fussing now to describe what's happening with that hamstring. It must be a couple of decades of working together. Here's Brooks through the lane, pops it up and off. Brooks insists her way and gets fouled by Fulwiley. Zoe Brooks will go to the line. Zoe Brooks has acquitted herself nicely in this game, has had some moments where she's shown real poise, at times where NC State has needed it, and just a freshman.
We saw her in the second game of the year against UConn have an outstanding game.
This year's NFL Draft is in Detroit. April 25th to the 27th, and ESPN, ABC, and NFL Network have you covered. More details on NFL Draft coverage and programming the week of the NFL Draft will be announced in the coming weeks. Watkins gets fouled by Brooks. Hey, speaking of NFL Draft, how about a couple of football fans as little girls? Yeah, that's Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers. Caitlin, a huge Chiefs fan. Paige Becker's a huge Vikings fan, and the official team accounts for the respective NFL teams both tweeted out, good luck to the two star guards tonight.
I mean, they couldn't be cuter.
No.
About between 5 and 7 years old there, that would be my guess.
That feels accurate. You have enough children that you should be able to correctly predict that.
I'm good at guessing that.
A lot of reps in the Lobo Russian household. Fulwiley checks out. Pow into Watkins. Chloe Kitts can't quite handle, and here comes Brooks. Brooks pull up mid-range, won't go. Watkins has rebound number 20.
I'd like to see South Carolina feed Chloe Kitts here. She hasn't played a lot here in the second half. You want her to be a confident young woman going into the game on Sunday.
Here's Kitts, dumping it down. Watkins is fouled, and it stays here with South Carolina. Just 3:38 to go in this fourth quarter. A game that was 32-31 at the half. Gamecocks had just a 1-point lead, but came out in the third quarter, outscored NC State 29-6, and they have not looked back.
That third quarter South Carolina team is the one that looks like, oh, I can see why they're undefeated all season.
Last undefeated champions, you have to go back to Connecticut. Brianna Stewart's senior year, 2016. Tessa Johnson can't bank it in. And Baldwin snares the rebound. A reminder, Iowa and UConn coming up next on ESPN as Brooks gets fouled. And Zoe Brooks will shoot two. Hey, we mentioned Stewie. She's here. Team USA has been training here in Cleveland.
At halftime, I was walking in the back, and I ran into Brittany Griner, and I'm like, of course, Team USA is here.
Basketball luminaries all over the place in this building. And Brooks hits the first free throw. Let's send things over to Holly.
Well, Zoe Brooks as a freshman has looked unafraid in this game, and it doesn't shock me at all because when she was still in high school, she competed in the WNBA 2022 Skills Challenge with Sabrina Ionescu. And right before they took the floor, she kind of went to Sabrina and said, like, listen, don't mess this up. Like, I loved it that she was bossing around an established WNBA player, and I just knew this young woman was going to be confident, and here she is in the Final Four just 2 short years later.
It is amazing. Yeah, for anyone who remembers watching that skills competition where the WNBA stars were paired with different youth basketball players. Yeah, Zoe Brooks. That Zoe Brooks was paired with Sabrina. Just incredible. 2:40 to go in this fourth. Here's James, lost the handle, and it's off the foot of Tessa Johnson. Here's Malaysia Fulwiley checking back in.
It's been a really well officiated game here today.
Yeah. Raven Johnson coming back out. Our officials, Melissa Barlow, Eric Bruton, Tiffany Bird. I know it makes you happy when we don't have to replay calls over and over again.
It delights me, Ryder, though.
James can't hit the three. Rebound Cox. Here comes Brooks. Teardrop short. The follow too strong. Baldwin able to clean it up. Some pressure applied by NC State now. As South Carolina able to break it. Fagan waits and lays it home. Lead is 20 for South Carolina, coming on 2 minutes remaining in this fourth. Isaiah James nails the three. James, a junior, but is WNBA draft eligible this season. Has not said anything about plans, but we know Rebecca certainly, with the way she's played this tournament, her stock has risen significantly, whether she comes out this year or next year.
She turns 22 in November, which is the year of the draft, which allows her to be eligible.
And a timeout taken, 1:36 to go in this fourth. 10 on the shot clock for South Carolina. And getting ready to go.
What's up? All right.
Iowa.
I don't really have time anymore.
And UConn. That is next on ESPN. And now time for our Capital One rewarding performance.
I wonder who it's going to be. It's the dominant force known as Camila Cardoso. She came to play from jump of this game, demanding the basketball. And when it was delivered, she delivered. 10 of 12 on the day. 22 points, 11 boards, simply dominant. Where'd she get those shots from? I mean, that's pretty darn good.
And you know what else is a good stat when it comes to Camila Cardoso?
What?
0 minutes in the fourth quarter. Dawn Staley able to rest her this entire frame after she tweaked her leg in that second, with a day game on Sunday for the national championship. That'll be 3 Eastern on ABC. Here's Fulwiley turning the corner and cupping it in beautifully.
She sometimes handles the basketball like she's, you know, about to, what is it called, roll the dice?
Yeah. That is, in fact, what it's called.
You know what I mean? I'm sitting here showing you what I mean.
Coming on a minute to go in this fourth. Rebecca, NC State's season will end here tonight, but so much for Wes Moore and his team to be proud of. Wes Moore, 35 years in coaching, has had incredible success at all of his stops, 831 career wins, his 11th season here at NC State, his very first Final Four, and an NC State team that brings back its backcourt as long as James doesn't go to the draft with Sanaya Rivers and Isaiah James. They've had success pulling in transfers in recent years as well. Just the second Final Four appearance ever for the Wolfpack, and so much to feel good about from this season.
This is a team that had a lot of turnover from a year ago. They were picked to finish 8th in the ACC and instead finished 2nd. And here, representing the conference in the Final Four, a terrific job once again by Wes Moore.
You see Wes Moore with some words of encouragement for Isaiah James.
The way his players spoke about him when
yes.
we were meeting with them, with just love and absolute admiration for their head coach.
Final 30 seconds of this fourth quarter. South Carolina on the brink of its third title game in the last 7 NCAA tournaments. That three won't go. Offensive rebound, Brooks. He puts it in. Fulwiley has it. And that will do it. Undefeated South Carolina will play for the national championship on Sunday. 78-59, the final tonight. A dominant second half from the flawless Gamecocks.
The South Carolina team all season has relied on their depth and their shooting and their dominance in the post, and all of those things came together here once again to lead them to the championship game.
A reminder, Iowa and UConn is coming up next. Winner of that game will meet South Carolina in the final Sunday afternoon, 3 Eastern on ABC. A dominant second half from the Gamecocks. 20 rebounds off the bench from Ashlyn Watkins. 22 points, 11 rebounds from Camila Cardoso. 3 threes from Raven Johnson, who also had 5 assists. And Ashlyn Watkins is standing by with Holly Rowe.
Ashlyn, before the game, I asked Dawn Staley what player was going to come up big, and she said your name. 20 rebounds. How did you just assert your will time and time again?
Well, I like to jump. I mentioned that before, and I know my team need me to rebound, so that's what I went out and did.
It was really a night for the bigs. What's it like when Camila is eating like she is and you're helping clean everything up?
We dominate. That's what we do. We like to post up. We like to score in the post. They didn't really have a post that could guard us or stop us, so we had to feed what we can do.
This was a close game at the half. What did you all say to each other in the locker room to come out and put this kind of performance together?
We said North Carolina State's a great team, but they know better than us. Like they can't stay with us, and we just came out with fire.
A chance to play for a national championship now. What does that mean for this team that is still undefeated?
It means a lot. We want it. We want this. We're going to go out there and go get it.
Thanks, Ashlyn.
Thank you.
Well, Ashlyn Watkins, 20 rebounds later, is headed to the national championship game. Coming up next is NCAA Women's Final Four update presented by Capital One, followed by UConn and Iowa. Elle Duncan, Andrea Carter, Chinea Gwumake, Carolyn Peck, Aaliyah Boston. Take it away, ladies.
Coach, you came out in the third quarter, you outscored them 29-6. Did you yell? You could be honest. Did you yell at them?
I absolutely yelled, but look, this is a proud moment. To be just on the other side of this mic, proud of your professionalism, proud that you know the game so much that you are representing at the highest level. God is good to you.
God is good. I'm talking about you, though. I'm talking about you. You are going to the national championship game. This team hasn't been filled with a lot of experience, but you have key players stepping up. Camila, Tessa, what excites you about this now going into the trip? One more.
I mean, we're excited. This is a place we wanted to be. We want to do it for you. We really want to take care of Sunday for you and the Freshies because you gave basketball everything you had, and you came up short in your senior year. So hopefully we can turn the tables and win it for you. And if we do, Freshies will be getting their ring.
When you do. Last question. How many TikToks are you in today?
TikTok since you left? They don't even
hit it one time. Hit it one time. Just hit it one time.
I don't know what that is.
Proud of you, Coach.
Love you.
Love you.
Love you, Leah.